Anything?
It's prepared.
Bueller? Bueller?
All right. I think that actually did work this time.
Did it?
And I don't see it yet, but I do think it's happening. I have a
Oh,
notification that
there we
you are
go.
going live.
There.
So,
What about you?
uh, I'm sure it is working. I always trust that it is.
All right.
Okay, so I have a thing that says upcoming. Yep, it's there. I
Awesome.
love it. I absolutely do. I love this. And who knows when anyone will actually see this. However, my name is Sheila Williams. I'm here with Danay Novoa, and we normally go live about an hour ago every a Wednesday. And we were all prepped for our topic, which was going to be high expectations, high standards of yourself, and why we have them, why it feels important for things to be perfect or they're not worth doing. And then we could not get the thing to work. In fact, I even said, we don't even have to check the channels because we know we have done this, what, 4 or 5 times already? We've actually gotten it to work. And this time it didn't work. So this was our last attempt. Otherwise, I said, we're calling it for today. So, Denai, do you have anything to offer about that while I have a sip of water?
Uh, no, it's just hilarious because we were setting up everything else and then we're like, okay, let's go. And okay, go again. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. I mean, it's an interesting thing to play with technology and say, like, all right, friend, you're going to work for me, and you've been working for the last bit, and now you're not. So
Yeah.
the question is, are we talking about high standards or technology?
Well, no, I think I absolutely high standards because it wasn't a technical error. It was 100% me user error. And it happened because something different popped up, which made me instantly doubt myself. And then I had to click this and click that and try this and try that. And then at the last step, it turns out I was clicking the wrong button. So it was
Ah,
100% me. The technology presented some different conditions, and then I kind of overreacted, got in my head, and started doubting myself, which again, I think is wonderful because that's exactly what we were going to talk about. That so often we set these high expectations and the high standards, and then we doubt we can meet those. And then we start scrambling, which is kind of what was going on. It's like, let's click buttons, let's reset it up from scratch again. Like, how do you do that again? It's been a month. But that's what happens is we start to reach for tools. You might call it a crutch. You might call it kind of your standard of where can I feel comfortable again in this situation where I am very uncomfortable because I don't feel that I'm doing it well enough. Like I am clearly not good enough. Maybe I'm not competent. Maybe I can't do this. And once we have that story running in our head, we're constantly trying to fix that as opposed to actually looking at what's going on and knowing I do have the skills. I am capable. And if I don't know, I can find out, as opposed to smashing buttons trying to fix things. Wait a second, panic alert, panic. So I think it's wonderful that this all happened as a perfect modeling of what we were going to talk about today.
yeah, it's true. And we had ideas of what to talk about as examples. For people who don't know, we literally hop on a call minutes before we're going to go live, and then we go, what's the topic for today? And then we just pick something, and then we go, okay, let's go with that. But today we had more time to sort of talk about it because the tech wasn't working. So it was interesting to kind of navigate that part. But then we almost set ourselves up to have higher standards because we're much better in flow than we are when we're trying to plan what we're doing. Because otherwise we get in our heads and then we go, well, is that right? Is that good enough? And it's like, just flow. So yeah, but standards are definitely something that I work with for myself. I know I'm not the only one, but it seems I have more of more compassion for other people when they don't meet their goals or their desires than for myself. And I think that's a common attribute for everybody.
Well, and a good reminder, right? To notice, always a good question is, would I speak to someone else like this? Would I offer more compassion or just space? And we are usually very quick to criticize ourselves in our minds. The funny thing is, I wasn't feeling critical, but I was feeling frustrated because
Mm.
I had set an expectation that we had mastered the technology piece. Go back to that very first one, like, is this on? Is this working? Let's check everything. And that annoys me that we have to do that. And I felt we got to the point that we don't even need to do it. And that is why I laugh, because I literally said that out loud. We don't even need to check. And then, it was different. And then I bumped back into that old kind of discomfort of maybe I don't know how to do this. And that can be any condition, any skill where, let's say even if you prepped for something, I think the driver's test is one that everybody who has a driver's license can appreciate, because you read the book, you do the practice, maybe you take the driving lessons, but then when it actually comes time for the driving examination, you've got nervousness, you've got someone sitting beside you you feel is judging you, because they're literally marking things on a paper. The conditions change, and that all of a sudden opens up more space for the questioning and the doubt to come in. Or you're so preoccupied that you do something, you don't even notice that you did it. And if I am driving now, I think I am a pretty good driver, to be honest. I am a
Yep.
little maybe overcautious sometimes. But sometimes I'll do things, like, whoops, if that were the driving test, I would have gotten the fail, because I just think, oh, that's, some things I didn't even know about until my youngest son took his driver's test. And he said, did you know you're always supposed to do this? And I'm like, no, I've never heard that in my life. But apparently that was on the exam. So there are so many elements to skills. And even when we think we're competent, I think there's always something that can go in and poke around and cause some insecurities.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it comes when we start the evaluation of it, because otherwise, if we're just doing things, like it's similar to the concept of when you're trying to make a decision and you're going back and forth and creating this, like, what do I decide? But we make so many decisions on automatic and just in flow that we don't even register it. We just go. So it's the same idea. We're just going in action. There's an evaluation happening in the background that kind of just says, hold on, there's something wrong here, you know, alert the mind. It's not really that, but like alert this observation and this conscious aspect and say, what did we do? Was that wrong? Was that okay? Otherwise, it's like, okay, no, no problem. Let's return back to automatic pilot kind of thing. But when we start getting into our heads about evaluating everything, we take away that flow and we're more concerned with what we think about what we're doing or what we think other people think about what we're doing, which we
Always.
don't know. We don't know what other people think. Like I've received compliments on the stuff I do and people say, "Oh, that was really good. That was really helpful." And then, depending on where my mind is, afterwards I'll go, "They were just being nice." And I just like, and I go, "No, they said it." And it's like, "No, there's a part in me that goes, nope, there's a specific level that it must meet in order for it to be accepted." And it's so funny that it's like it's never good enough for that part, right?
Mhm.
So we have some stern supervisor in our head that goes, nope, not good enough. And we just have to be the rebellious employee that says, yeah, that was fine.
Well, and I think that that even just that expression, fine, I think is one that can poke around, because if you received a message when you were young that you had to be better, like always better than what your initial output was, then I think that makes a difference in that it raises the threshold of what is acceptable. And I remember working with some entrepreneurs years ago, and there I am being meticulous and every detail has to be good. And they were just whipping things out like, that's good enough. It's good enough. It's good enough. Just move on. Good enough. Move on. I was shocked by that. Like, what are you talking about? It's not good enough because on the one hand, I had different standards than they did. On the other hand, I was the one that had to kind of pick up the pieces of the things that were missing. And so I had a different perspective than they did. And even though that is true, now I am understanding it is okay that it's good enough. It is okay that it's fine. If we use the 80-20 principle of, what, 80% most likely will be okay. And to really fine tune over the 20%, if you're doing heart surgery, might matter, but most of what we're doing these days in our normal day-to-day life, it doesn't require that actual level of being 100% or 99.999, which to some people who claim that perfectionist tendency, that's the standard. And I've agonized over writing out emails like newsletters, like it has to be the right word, it has to be the right tone, and then send it out, and then afterwards go like, oh, look, like I missed that punctuation, or that wasn't the right word. I wish I could send it over again. Like, did that dilute the whole message? Did anybody else even notice? Let's agree, probably not. So,
No, you
worth it.
noticed. Yeah, you noticed, and that's what carries the power, right? I mean, I have the same situation. As you're talking about things, I'm sitting there going, yep, yep, yep. And I mean, I just had something recent with an email where um I was sending people songs that reflected their astrological sun sign. And that was a lot of fun. But I did 4 emails on that. And the third email, I was just so excited about the energy around it. And, I was typing away and I forgot to hyperlink the songs. And I thought, how dare you? Like, that you just happened to have the link right there for everyone and it looked messy. And I was like, wow, like, there's not even a chance to go. The email was fine, everything else was good. But I was
Yeah.
looking at it, and I was like, why didn't it work? Why didn't the link work? And I was like, because you didn't do it.
Yep.
So I sent another one and I shared the story about that and I made sure I did it. I was about to get everything ready, but I mean, I sent the email pretty late and I sat there and I went, oh, the hyperlink, let's do that. So it's just, yeah. I mean, I am very hard on myself with anything because I want to make sure it's the best.
Yeah.
Um, and that is, sometimes uh, an expectation, could probably say all the time, not an expectation that's absolutely needed because it can hinder things, right? I go over things multiple times, or I am harder on myself when I do find an error. I laughed in one of the books I'm reading that it's been published, and I look, that's an error.
There often are in published books. And when you think how many editors, proofreaders, like so many people put their eyes on it, and it still is there. And knowing that doesn't mar your entire understanding or enjoyment of a book.
Yeah,
So it is fascinating. And it's funny because when we started this conversation, you talked about how much better it is to be in flow. And yet then you just said that you can agonize over the details. And so we
100%.
all have those kind of like inclinations. And yet I do think it's worth noticing and being aware, a bit more of an observer when we are in those moments of, does this really matter? If I called this good enough or fine, could that be okay? What would I need to do to get it to a point that it could be okay without needing it to go into this other territory? Like, I'll find myself at times, I'm better than ever before. I don't actually claim perfectionism anymore. There's still a bit over there, but more often than not, I am okay if it's not perfect. But there are times when I'm just like, okay, getting in, digging in, digging in. Okay, a little bit, and then I realize it's been 15 minutes. is this how I want to spend my time? Because what I'm doing isn't really accomplishing anything. I'm not moving my satisfaction level. I'm not moving the quality, whatever it is. Like if I'm trying to find the perfect font or something, people don't really care. And at the end of the day, I don't really care. I might know what's wrong, but to just keep, well, what about this one? What about this one? What about this one? What, okay, well, those were all okay. Maybe after the second one, go, yeah, that is fine. It is fine.
I think what's important as we wrap up is that people when they have these types of thoughts, and you said something like it doesn't matter or does it matter, and for an aspect of you, whatever it is, it does matter, but it
Yeah.
doesn't matter for the reasons that the person will think. Like it's the font. Like, why is that important? And then it's like, well, the font, if somebody like you go down a trail, what does it create? What does it lead to? Like the font. Well, if somebody doesn't like it, they're not going to read my stuff. And if they don't read my stuff, they're not going to know what I'm doing, et cetera, et cetera. Like, but like for me, the path would be like if they don't like the font, they don't like me. Like, right? So
That's quite
it
a jump.
well, I took the fast
Yeah.
route because we have to wrap up. But it's just interesting to me. Like there would be a lot more in there, but I know because I've explored this in myself to say that I know what it leads to, and the message typically leads to I'm not good enough or I
Yeah.
don't do things good enough.
Yeah.
So I can make that jump when I'm nitpicking something or I find a mistake and I go, oh, there's evidence that I'm not good enough. Not true, but that's what my radar detectors are looking for. So what do people do with this? And I think the important thing is know that the minutia of things that annoy you or get to you always have something behind it, and it's to explore what that something could be. So
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. There's always an underlying belief that feels true. And when we can isolate that, that's when we're looking at the right area
yeah.
to let it feel better. There's no question. So, wow, I actually have a new offer coming up next week, all about that. Like, thanks for that segue.
Not intentional.
It wasn't, but it's because this is the basis of the work, and
Yeah.
it makes such a difference. So, all
Yeah.
right, thank you, Danai, for persevering and just keeping calm through that whole rigmarole. And thanks for anybody who listened. Feel free to drop a comment, subscribe, whatever you need to do. Reach out if you have any questions. And we will be here next week.
Yeah. And hello to Anna and I assume Louise, because we've had two people watching.
Wonderful. Love it. All
All
right,
right.
thank